Welcome to a video on HelloID provisioning, and I'd like to talk about correlation. And correlation is a very important part of the configuration of HelloID provisioning because it allows you to operate HelloID in a running environment where you already have user accounts in your Active Directory and you don't want to create all new ones. You want HelloID to recognize your existing accounts, and that's exactly what correlation is. Correlation is about the matching or linking, if you will, of the HelloID person to your account in the target system. And in this case, I'm doing a correlation in an on-premise Active Directory. So it will be exclusively for this system. Now, what you do with correlation is basically a very simple setting, but it can result in some cleanup. So you basically say, okay, my HelloID person has an external ID, for instance, a personnel number, registration number, and that field is, in my case, should be in the employee ID attribute in my Active Directory account. And HelloID will then try to create matchings based on that. And you can view that in the correlation report. So let's see what happens. Now, my correlation report has a lot of interesting, well, three interesting views. These are my matches, which you should glance over to see if nothing's out of the ordinary here. And this seems fine. This is my account and it matches properly on my person. So that's all fine. The two lists on the bottom are very important because you want your list on the left to be as clean or as empty as possible, and you want your list on the right to be as, how could I say this, to be explained as possible. Because this is more of a security issue, a security risk, if you will. And this is basically more implementation blocking. Because if this list has too many entries, then HelloID will create false new accounts, which you don't want. So let's see what it exactly is and what it means. Well, you have your uncorrelated person. So that means it's a person in your HR system, but HelloID can't find a corresponding account. And it can be fine if the person here, for instance, is not on active duty anymore, or there is some kind of a reason why they shouldn't have an account. Then that's fine. But you make sure that those listed in here then are not included in your business rules, because otherwise a new account will be created for these persons here. What you could do as a temporary solution to make this list as clean as possible is to set a filter on your HR import to only allow for persons who have an active contract. And by default, we do a filter that we look a little bit into the future and we include a little bit of the past, for like 6 months or something. And you will have those users here, future and past persons, because they probably don't have an account yet or they don't have an account anymore. So they will be listed here. And those are, well, regarded more or less as false positives. So to easily filter those, set a more strict filter on your HR import and make sure you remove that filter when going forward once you finish your correlation cleanup. Make sure that that you can easily process it, which is fine. And what you can also do is well, in one way or another, you have to make sure that this list is empty or that they're not included in your business rules. So make sure that when going forward with HelloID provisioning the configuration, that you keep the entries here to a minimum. Otherwise, you'll have false positives. This list here are all the accounts that cannot be associated or correlated to a person, which are, well, more or less your ghost accounts then. And if these are person accounts, then there's something to worry about, or there's something to consider. Why is that account still here? Because if there's no person associated with this, and it seems like a personal account, what's going on? Now you will also see these kinds of accounts, admin accounts, because all accounts are listed here. So these are like your known exemptions to the rule. And you shouldn't do anything here other than just look if you don't have way too many service accounts or functional or admin accounts. So this is more interesting for a security officer to browse through and say, okay, maybe this is too much and we need to clean up. But it's not implementation blocking. It's more like a process you can do in parallel to the implementation. This one here, ideally, you want to have 0 entries here to move forward. So yeah, that's HelloID provisioning and correlation. Also, the correlation is handled by HelloID when actually granting an entitlement. So if you have the account entitlement and you grant it at that point, so it's not in the evaluation, it's at the enforcement level. On the enforcement level, the account entitlement is being granted, and then HelloID says, okay, can this be correlated? And if so, it will become an update. If not so, it will become a create. Alright, thanks for watching. That's it.